So today is finally the day where I talk about why I moved to Ghana. And to be honest, sometimes I'm questioning this myself. Why did I make the move? What was I hoping to achieve? How do I feel about it now that I've been here for 9 months? I moved to Ghana for a couple of different reasons. And one of them was because I just wanted a change of scenery. I'm born and raised in Toronto and I've been there my whole life. And I just felt very unfulfilled there. I felt that I was stuck in a cycle of just work, barely seeing people, having to take weeks to make plans with people, like your friends that live 30 minutes away. And I was just over it. So I was like, you know what? I want to do something different. I want to have a different experience and I want to live in Ghana. So that was the first thing. I don't know if you know this already, but I am a registered dietitian. I've been a dietitian for almost 10 years now. And one thing I do in my work is talk about cultural foods. That's a big part of my mission, to really teach people how to eat well without erasing their culture. And I figured, why not be in Ghana to learn more about the foods, to learn different recipes, cooking techniques, all of these things. Really be on the continent to just further my practice, further my knowledge, further my exposure, so that I could actually do more with the work that I was already doing. The next thing was I saw different opportunities when it came to agriculture and farming, and I wanted to get involved, whether that was to have my own farm, to work on food product development, to work on nutrition labeling, all of these things. Another reason why I moved was because I wanted to learn how to speak Tree. I cannot speak Tree, at least not confidently, and I figured, okay, if I'm gonna learn, might as well be here. What I've quickly realized is that's not happening in Accra. Maybe if I went to Kumasi or another place, but over here, you get by completely fine with English. The other thing too is even when you try to speak Tree, people just laugh at you, so it's not very promising, or it's not very encouraging, I would say. But I guess it is what it is. So that's still something that I want to do eventually, but I just haven't done it. I could take lessons. Maybe I should take lessons instead of trying to learn from day-to-day interactions, because it just doesn't happen. We're all speaking English. Another reason why I moved was because I wanted to connect with my family. Majority of my family lives in Ghana, with some in different parts of the world. So I wanted to connect with them. The thing is, what I've quickly realized is I maybe missed the boat with that, because a lot of people have moved abroad. A lot of people have started their own families. A lot of people are just busy. So I don't need to worry about the color of my skin here. Everyone is, for the most part, black, which is very different from living in Canada, where I think the population of black people is only 4%. So I wouldn't say that was a huge reason for me to make the move, but I'm not gonna lie, it is nice where you just don't need to think about that. On the flip side though, over here, your race is not so much of a thing, but your classism is a huge thing here, which I definitely didn't experience as much there. But your class, how much money you make, where do you live, how you sound. I don't think about my race, but my class is always a discussion here. Being Canadian, the idea that we have all this money, all of that. What I'm trying to say is that was another reason, just to be with people who look like me. I love it. I love it here. It's funny because when I went to Nairobi, I had an experience where I went to, actually twice. Once was in a mall, once was at a market, where I was one of the few black people. And I said, I haven't felt like this in so long, where I was a minority. And it was funny because I'm in Africa, so why do I feel like I'm a minority? That's another reason why I wanted to make the move, just being with my people. I've learned so much about the different ethnic groups, which has been really nice. And I really want to go around the different regions. I want to make that happen. Okay. Is there anything else why I made the move? I made a video before when I was leaving. I was so frustrated as to being in Toronto. I also thought that I could save money by moving here, because my expenses in Toronto were a lot higher. At least that's what I thought. I'm spending more and making less. That didn't really happen either. Now I'll explain to you if I was to do it again, would I move for those reasons? In hindsight, I definitely would have had something more concrete. A lot of the reasons why I gave were more on the emotional, social side, and I don't think moving for those reasons alone is enough. I think having something more concrete is what will ground you here when times get difficult. So when I was talking earlier about agriculture and farming, if I was working on a specific project, if I was involved in something, I think that is maybe a stronger reason to make the move rather than the emotional pieces. This is just based on my experience, especially understanding all the challenges that go into making the move. If you make the move just for emotional reasons, or that's your main reason, I think it can be very easy for you to leave. But if you have something grounding you, I think that it can help you weather the storms that come with making this move and that come with living here. Almost 9 months in, I will say there's a lot more things presenting themselves now, but I'm more so at a place where I think that Ghana is a place I will come and go. I'm not sure if living here full time makes sense for someone with my personality. I think if you have a type A personality, living here full time might be challenging because most things don't really go as planned. And if you're someone who likes to predict outcomes, who likes to have a schedule, who likes to have things really rigorously planned out, I just don't think this environment will be enjoyable for you in the long run. You will adapt, you will have to adapt, but I think it can be tiring and it can be frustrating. So the first one, a change of scenery. I think that could work short term. I wouldn't recommend making this big move with the plans of being here permanently just for a change of scenery. You'll definitely get the change of scenery, but it can get tiring very quickly. So if that was the case, I think I would have just done a 3-month, 4-month stint and made my way back. Because you get what you need from that experience, but you don't get so worn out that you may not want to come back ever again. Number 2, the food pieces. So being a dietitian, recipes, food, not really happening. First of all, food is quite expensive here. So even just to make those recipes, to get certain ingredients to source them, it's a lot more work than I expected. Just having to go to the market, the constant negotiations, all of these things. It's just a lot more work and it's not as enjoyable for me. Also, just having the appropriate place to cook, I personally have challenges with that. So a lot of these things didn't happen, unfortunately. And I'm sure there's things I could do to make it happen now, but that didn't really happen. I barely cook here. Finding ingredients is not as easy, and it just feels like a lot more work. I will say that. Also, just some of my opportunities that I had back in Canada, I don't have anymore, so that's challenging. For example, I was reached out to a brand that wanted me to work on a recipe, but the product was in Canada and I couldn't get it here due to shipping costs and all of these things. So that's unfortunate. So there are some opportunities that I'm losing. What else? Connecting with family. Like I said earlier, it's been challenging. Everyone has their own lives. We don't even live close to each other. So there's a couple of different things. I think if there's a will, there's a way, of course, but it's not as seamless. My whole theme for this move is it has been work. And I think if you plan on making this move, just know the first year, the first 2 years will be work. I met someone who's been living here for 2 years and another person 3 years. One person said they're 2 years in and it's still an adjustment. Someone said they're 3 years in and it took them over a year to adjust. So it's quite normal what I'm experiencing, what I'm sharing, but just prepare mentally for that. And I don't think I was prepared for that mentally. I thought because I've been here a number of times, I'm Ghanaian. No, it didn't help. So the other thing was farming and agriculture. So I'm still interested in that. I get so paranoid when I hear stories from people when they've done it and it's been a horrible experience. And I'm just like, I am not interested in that. From getting the land, which you could work around, but then getting the labor, like people working for you, just the stories I hear about people stealing your crops, stealing your trees if you're planting trees, having animals on your farm that end up eating your harvest. And I'm just like, I don't know about that. And I guess the other thing is to be there 24/7. And right now, I'm not interested in being on a farm 24/7. So it's still something that I would want to explore, but maybe in the future, not right now, and maybe with other people. In terms of the food product development, I'm still interested in that. And I think there's a lot of opportunity, especially now with more measures going in to limit the amount of raw goods that leave Ghana. So there's an opportunity to develop things. So that's still there, but I haven't explored that yet. And personally, I think for me, like I said, going back and forth makes sense. I was speaking to a friend and it was so funny. She's a new friend and she was like, yeah, I could just tell you are not the one to live here full time. And I think it depends on your personality, what you're doing and all of that. But I think going back and forth would make more sense for me. So now just figuring out how do I design that life and how do I make it work? Because people are doing it, it's possible. And so for me, I'll definitely document that process if that's helpful, if other people want to do the same. But I think making the move has given me a lot of information, like an experiment, and now I'm more prepared for whatever that I want to do. But those are some of the reasons why I made the move to begin with. It was just, I wanted a different chapter of my life, got that. Wanted exposure to my culture, got that. Didn't get as much connection with family, didn't get as much exposure to the language tree specifically, but I'm still here. So sometimes things materialize slower than you thought, but doesn't mean that they're not going to materialize at all. So I'm open, and I'm constantly meeting people now that I've been here longer that are wanting to support me, wanting to be there for me, wanting me to have a good experience, trying to introduce me to people. So just sometimes things happen slower, and what I'm realizing and what I'm grateful for being here is that I don't have to rush things. I expected XYZ to happen in 6 months and didn't happen. And that's okay, because plans are not real. You can have them, but you can also be flexible to know that they will come. And sometimes things materialize all at the same time, or they don't. And that's okay, but they can still happen, especially if there's a will and there's a way. Anyways, so that's why I made the move. Let me know in the comments why you are thinking about making the move, or why you made the move. And yeah, let's help each other out. I think it's important to share these things so people can be more informed, they can plan better, ask better questions, and just learn from one another. So that's my experience. That's why I made the move. And I think the move was less about Ghana and more about wanting to leave Toronto. Because in reality, if I'm being honest, my dream place to go is New York City. But right now, New York City is not in my budget. Okay. And also, with everything going on in America, it's just not the right time. So while I wanted to make the move to Ghana, it was more because I thought this would give me the softest landing relative to other parts of the world. I just really wanted to move somewhere. And yeah, what I got was not what I expected, but that's life. And I'm sure once I'm maybe in a different place or out of this, I will appreciate the experience so much more, because it has really shaped me, expanded me, made me more adaptable, all of these things. I wanted a change from the mundane life, the uninspired, unfulfilled life that I had, which is funny because now I appreciate that so much more. I appreciate living in Canada, living in Toronto so much more now that I've been out of it. And I guess maybe that was part of the experience, just learning gratitude, appreciation for the mundane, the boring, because boring offers stability. And there's a lot of instability here, whereas over there I had stability but felt bored. Overall, I appreciate that so much, and I'm so grateful that I can go there, I can go back, that I am Canadian, because that feeling of boredom and fulfillment is actually not a bad thing and can help me do all the things that I want to do here. Just having that sort of foundation, that place to go back to. I want to hear from you. Why did you make your move, or why are you thinking about making the move? Anyways, that's it for this video. I hope this was helpful to give you some insight into why I made the move. It was nothing super out there, but I just wanted a change. I got that change. I got more than I could have imagined. And at the end of the day, I'm grateful for the experience, and I'm happy that I can share my experience with the world to help you. If you feel like you want to relocate somewhere, I think you should go for it. Plan properly, of course, but why not? Because life is short. And I do think having this experience not only helps you with cross-cultural communication, collaboration, just knowing more about the world, knowing more about yourself, knowing more about what you want in life. It's a beautiful thing overall. Anyways, that's all for this video, and I will see you in the next one.